Good afternoon, everybody. I hope the conference is going well for everybody who's been attending the Plan Vivo sessions. My name is Joe Anderson. I'm the co-founder of Carbon Tanzania, and today I'm here to moderate a session on behalf of Plan Vivo around the involvement of communities in projects, in Plan Vivo projects, and how we can best integrate them, their cultural needs, their socioeconomic needs, and also their need to communicate what their participation in the projects means to the world. I think we all know how challenging the carbon market has been over the last few years. Plan Vivo have always forefronted community involvement in projects. And so, in principle, we shouldn't be too concerned about communities' involvement in Plan Vivo projects. But the reality is that we can never tell the world loudly and clearly enough just how great some of these projects are and how incredible the communities who are working and doing most of the hard work are in the projects. So today we have three speakers, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves individually. We have a bit of an East African focused session today. In fact, it's an East African community, Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. So we're going to start by asking Lilian from EcoTrust in Uganda to introduce herself and just tell you what she does at the organization and at her project. Lilian?
The called Namirimu Lilian Forest Management Group called Ndanga Nyachiyanja Parishes Tunguche Group. It is one of the TGB project group, and in the group, the chairperson, Honey Business Wing. Thank you.
Thank you, Lilian. I'm going to move on to Kenya now, and we're going to hear from Kassim. Juma, please could you tell us what your part in the project is and your involvement in Plan Vivo and carbon projects?
Okay, thank you. I'm Mohammed Kassim Juma. I'm the project coordinator of Mikoko Pamoja. I do oversee the implementation of our community-led carbon offset facility in Gazi Bay. I do oversee the implementation and fostering collaboration and driving impactful change for environmental conservation and community empowerment. So we are closely working with the Plan Vivo Foundation as our certifiers, whereby we have been verified by Plan Vivo for a period of 20 years in the issue of selling carbon credits. Thank you.
Thank you, Kassim. And I'm now going to move back to Tanzania, which is actually where I am at the moment, and introduce you to German Sedoyeka, who is involved with actually one of Carbon Tanzania's projects. So German, please introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is German Sedoyeka. I am project manager for Yaeda-Eyasi landscape project. I belong to one of the community in the project area, which is called the Toga community, of which we are living together with hunter-gatherers, which is Hadzabe tribe. These are forest community based in Tanzania, and my role as a project manager is representing the community in different levels. I represent the community also to just building the relationship between the carbon developers, Carbon Tanzania, and the community, but also assisting the community in different matters like how to use their revenues for their priorities, and also speaking or representing on behalf of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, thank you, guys. Thank you for joining today. Let's dive into some questions that we've prepared, and you've seen the general topics. Because what I'm interested to hear, and hopefully the audience is also interested to hear, is really what it means to work with communities to develop these projects. What are the elements, and what roles and what responsibilities do the people who actually live in these areas bear? What are they doing day by day? That sort of thing. So, my first question, I'm going to ask Lilian to start to answer my first question, which is going into detail almost immediately. I think it's important. Can you describe what are the forms of the agreements that you make with your community partners? What type of what do those agreements look like in practice? And then tell us a little bit about how those community partners are involved in designing and developing the activities of the project itself.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I will first explain what TGB is. TGB is Trees for Global Benefit Project, which means these are the carbon schemes which involve small farmer groups in tree planting and in the marketing of the carbon credits. This starts their community engagement. In EcoTrust Uganda, the communities, EcoTrust tried to use tools called EcoTrust Uganda has a girls system methodology. Girls means gender action learning systems. With that, as it engaged with our group, we started up with a tool which is called Mountain Highway, whereby we identify the challenges. We identify the vision, the challenges, the opportunities, we set the milestone, and also we spell out the activities to be done in order to implement our visions for the different activities. Now, as Ndangala Nyachiyanja Parishes Tunguche Group, we signed an agreement with the National Forest Authority, and not only that, we also have other agreements we signed with EcoTrust. Those are the individual source carbon agreements, whereby the farmers, the tree global benefit farmers sign up these agreements. So we sign the agreements and before we go in for trees for benefit projects, and in these agreements, this is where we find the number of trees a member is supposed to plant, the types of trees, the intention of the trees, the areas to be covered, the species, also the tons of carbon to be sold, and even the amounts of money to be given to the farmers, individual farmers. So in those agreements, it specifies all the details of me as an individual and what I'm supposed to do and my intentions. So those are some of the agreements we do sign with the different partners.
Great, that's really good to hear. And what those agreements describe, as you say, the different activities that each farmer is responsible for, and it describes some of the. It probably describes the timelines and other aspects of how the project proceeds. How much are those smallholders involved in the design and the development of the program activities? Or is that something that you as the developer are supporting according to the Plan Vivo standard?
Now, it is mostly at the start. That is when we are more involved, because that is when we get the sensitization meetings. And in the start, the meetings, we use the tools, the different tools, in order to develop up all for the group in order to implement all the. But again,
Great.
I think we are together. But again, with the different agreements, like that of the National Forest Authority agreement, it indicates the roles, the responsibilities, the benefits under those agreements, what we are supposed to do as the community, and what the National Forest Authority has to do.
Right. So I'm hearing that it's a real combination of aligning with local and nationals and the agreements,
Yeah.
and making
Yes.
sure that the activity is able to demand the Plan Vivo standard. Frozen. Okay, I think I just maybe dropped off. So I'm going to ask the same question to Kassim. Well, Kassim, if you could tell us, in the case of Mikoko Pamoja, again, in terms of the agreements, what type of agreements have to be put in place, or have you been putting in place? And how much have you been able to involve communities in then designing and developing the project activities themselves?
Okay, thank you. So in the Mikoko Pamoja project, the agreement with the project developer is a collaborative partnership that ensures both technical and financial support for the project, especially for the project design, development, and implementation. So the project developer in this case provide expertise in carbon financing, carbon monitoring, as well as reporting, while the local community manages day-to-day conservation activities and project implementation. So the local resource owners, these are primarily the community members, are highly involved in the project design and development. So the community, they usually participate in decision-making processes, resource management, and benefit sharing structures. So this community-driven model ensures that their knowledge, their needs, and priorities are integrated into the project, so that this creates sense of ownership, or the community feels that they own the project, and it impacts for the long-term sustainability.
Great. And in the case of Mikoko Pamoja, I mean, just to be clear for everybody, what happens every day? It's a mangrove project, from what I remember. But can you tell us day to day, what are people doing? Planting trees, managing, preventing them being cut down? What are the actual day to day activities for all the people?
Okay, for the entire community, as we know, we are fishing community living a subsistence lifestyle with limited agriculture. So the activities under Mikoko Pamoja we do monitoring after every 4 months. That is in April and September. So we do monitoring twice a year, and then we send the report to Plan Vivo, which is found online. The reports are usually found online. So the community, they have been trained by our technical team on how to do monitoring, on how to do the planting, on how to do the nursery establishment. And the community, they are playing the role in the management of the Mikoko Pamoja project, whereby they actively involved in decision making. So we have some activities which takes time at Mikoko Pamoja, but when time reaches, like when we have the barazas, the community are actively involved in decision making.
Great, that's really interesting. So, are you still planting mangrove trees, or are you at the stage of just monitoring the growth of them?
So currently, most of the scientists are against massive planting of mangroves, and particularly in Gazi Bay, we face many challenges like the issue of erosion and sedimentation, because we have been trying to plant mangroves, but after some time they all die. For instance, it was in last year, 2023, we planted a Avicennia marina species, 2,500 seedlings in our area. You can't imagine, none survived in that zone. So I can say we are no longer planting mangroves currently. It's just conservation. Yeah.
Very good. No, I think it's important for everyone to understand just how scientifically, challenging a lot of these projects can be, because it's easy to say plant trees, but actually making it work, or even just protecting trees once they're planted, is just not as straightforward as we would like. Okay, so I'm going to move to German, and same question again, of course. I obviously know that the project that you're involved with on behalf of Carbon Tanzania, we are actually, of course, concentrating on the protection of existing natural forest areas. And we're using a methodology that we all know is called RED to measure the effectiveness of the protection activities. So we have a RED project. And as you've told everybody, you're the project manager for the Eyasi part of the project, which we actually only started just under 4 years ago. It was an extension to an existing project that we'd started in 2013. Now, same question really. What we're trying to do, of course, is protect existing forests. So what are the underlying agreements, German, that have been made between the participating communities and with Carbon Tanzania? What form do those agreements take? And also, again, try to explain to everybody, what part do the communities play, or did they play, in designing the activities that are needed to protect and manage the forests in the area?
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity. In our community engaged in this project through signing the formal legal contracts according to Tanzanian laws, and but before reaching to this formal legal contract agreement, which we partnered with project developer, we had a series of sensitizing the community pertaining to the projects, pertaining to the RED project. And yeah, we also had our partners like UCRT, who has helped us to inform the community and educate the community about the RED project before reaching the signing of formal legal contract with the carbon developers. So after have the community understand more deeper uh, towards the project, then they will get devoted to sign the contract with carbon developer, Carbon Tanzania, and that signed contract, legal contract, it is stated very clear about the roles and responsibilities of the partners, where the community have a big role to conserve the environment, recruiting the local guards, like village game scouts, for regularly going to the forest, for monitoring the forest, for protecting the trees from being cut off, and also protect the biodiversity at large. So the community was really devoted and really in need to send the contract, and then after send contract, then every partner now they are doing their roles and responsibilities. So the partner, which is carbon project developer, is his main role and responsibility is marketing, finding the clients to ensure that the revenues are going directly to the community. Yes, so just but before all this, before engaging and partnering into contract, the community had cementing their land rights, have their own certificate of customer right of occupancy to ensure that the ownership of the land belongs to them. And then after all that, we come to partner with Carbon Tanzania, who is a project developer. Yes.
Right. That's great, German. I think it's really, we know how important it is to make sure that the communities we work with have absolutely clear and strong rights over their lands and over their resources. And as you say, the establishment of the land use plan, which is a legal document, is absolutely critical to the establishment of a good carbon project. It's very difficult to put the responsibility of protecting an area onto people who do not have the legal rights to access that land. So without that, Carbon Tanzania wouldn't really be able to engage. So that's really, really interesting to hear, of course. I mean, talking about the project activities a little bit more, what, just describe, for example, why is it better for the local communities and the people living in those villages, like the Tatoga pastoralists, why is it better for them to decide how to protect the forest? Why is it better that they decide to do that than it is
Okay.
for Carbon Tanzania to decide?
Okay. Thank you very much. For my community, who are basically pastoralist community, all together with hunter-gatherers, these communities are living in the project area. And all these communities, their lifestyle, their culture, their traditional lifestyle are connected directly to the environment. And particularly um, for my community, the Toga, who are grazing their pastoralists, because pastoralism is the backbone of the economy, and they need pasture, and the pasture has we used to, after have our land rights our CCROs, certificates of land of right of occupancy, the community have set aside the grazing land and the settlement areas. So the grazing land is very potential for them to ensure that there will be availability of pasture for the whole year. And because we used to graze in the project areas where the pasture are plenty. And during the dry season, normally pastoralists are going to establish new temporary camps in the project area so that they can pasture their livestock. On the other hand, Hadzabe people, hunter-gatherers, who lifestyle are connected to nature, they used to hunt and eating the berries, wild berries, and all the stuff, all the food from the forest. So it is very potential project for this community, so that it sustain their culture, but also their social economic benefits for sustainable livelihood. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I think what we're hearing is that people like the Tatoga, the Hadza, the reason that they should be doing the protection work is because they know where the important areas are. They know where the valuable forests are, what valuable resources these traditional cultural economies, should we say. So it's been, it makes sense that those communities should be the ones who work out how best to define the areas and to protect them going forward, because they know which ones are the most important. So that was great to hear how the communities are involved, as we say, about setting up projects, about establishing them and creating legal foundations for these projects. So that's a really good insight. Okay, so the next question I have is what a lot of people in the outside world like to understand from carbon projects. What we would like to know, and I'm going to ask Lilian, I'm going to ask Kassim first, actually. I'm going to ask Kassim the question that everybody likes to know about, which is about money. Everybody around the world, they're talking about carbon and talking about money and how much potential economically it has. But what we really need to know is, how are the people, the communities that we work with, how are they, how much of the partners, how much do they receive, and in what proportions do they receive the money for the work they do, for the project? So, Kassim, I mean, if you could tell us how it works, how do you pay the communities, and kind of what proportion of your carbon sales do the communities receive?
Could you come up again, please? I didn't get you clear.
Okay. I was saying, of course, that one of the big questions in carbon projects is how much money everybody is going to receive for participating. So the question really is, can you tell us in Mikoko Pamoja, how do people receive payments for the work they do, and in what proportion for the sales do they receive that money? And if you could tell us, how does Mikoko Pamoja think about equitable revenue distribution? What does that mean for you guys?
Thank you. So, as a community-led initiative, we are closely working with the Association for Coastal Ecosystem Services. These are charity in Scotland that help us in marketing of the carbon credits. So when after the assays have sold the carbon credits, they usually send the cash into Mikoko Pamoja account. And before the project was implemented, as the project was continuing, we we developed a benefit sharing structure whereby to see how the money can be shared among the stakeholders, particularly the local communities who are directly involved in the project. So annually, we do receive 25,000 US dollars, which is meant for community development projects, to support conservation, to support our office, as well as to support um, uh, other activities within the project. So the Mikoko Pamoja project takes a community-centered approach to develop an equitable benefit sharing mechanism. So this model ensures that all stakeholders, particularly the local communities who are directly involved in the conservation of mangroves, they do receive a fair share of the benefits derived from the project. So there are key aspects of this approach, which may include like community participation. So for these, from the project design to implementation, the local communities are actively involved in decision-making processes. So after we have received the funds, we organize for community gatherings whereby we call everyone within the two villages, that is Gazi and Makongen, because Mikoko Pamoja is managed by two local villages. So while at the community gatherings, we tell the community how much we have received in that certain year, and then the community, they prioritize on the project we want to install. So it's not the committee or our partners who um, um, benefit from the revenue. It's the community, the ones who decide on how the money shall be spent. Another key aspect is about the revenue sharing. As I mentioned earlier, is that the portion of the income is generated from the carbon credits is channeled back to the community. So the community will decide, if we have 3 million Kenya shillings, how can we do it? How can we deal with this man? So they're the ones who decide, let's say, we want this amount to go support education. We want this amount to support sanitation. We want this amount to support health. They're the ones who will decide on this. And then at Mikoko Pamoja, there's transparency governance. So the project operates under a clear governance structure with local committees responsible for managing the funds. Remember, we have not mentioned about the project partners who are managing the funds. After the selling of the credits, the money is being sent to our account. So there's a committee that manages the funds of the carbon credits. So it's upon the committee to sensitize the community, tell them the community that you have received this fund. What do you want us to do with this money? So this ensures that benefits go beyond financial gains and help to build long-term resilience. So the term equitable in practice, it look like it's like ensuring that vulnerable groups, including women, youth, and older people, are well involved in the benefit sharing. So those who invest more time in the project, uh, uh, should receive a fair share. So at Mikoko Pamoja, we have ensured that we don't receive any complaints from anyone, because when you mention something about money, that's where the conflict they usually start. So by implementing this principle, Mikoko Pamoja aims to create a platform that is not only fair but sustainable, by empowering locals to continue protecting the environment while improving their livelihoods.
Very good. Thank you, Kassim. That's very clear. So, German, I'm going to ask you a very similar question, really. Can you describe in the RED project in Yaeda-Eyasi, how do we transfer money, and what proportion of funds do we pay to the communities for the efforts that they make to protect the forests in the project areas? And if you could describe what you think is a fair, what is a fair share, as Kassim just talked about, an equitable share. It's a difficult term to define. What do we think is a
Okay. In our community, we used to, after have entered the contract, 61% of the total revenues is going directly to the community, and then the remaining percentage is going to the government, go to the carbon monitoring center, which is it is a Tanzania institution, but also some remaining is going to the district, which is about 80% of the revenues, and also the remaining revenue is going to the carbon project development, which is it's just for the administration costs, but the massive revenues, the huge amount of revenues are going directly to the community. It's going directly to the resource owners, who are the local community, where they have a very important roles to address, which is protection of the social development, like health issues, education issues, and then recruiting also the village game scouts and employing village game scout to ensure that the protection is intensified. There is intention of protection towards the environment. So the fair, I would say that it is very fair that the massive revenues directly to the community for the development of the community development projects, conservation, and social issues like education, health, and also infrastructures in the community, but also some stuffs like that.
Great. Thanks, German. Yeah, so as we're hearing, it's difficult to define, but essentially we all want to see people rewarded for the proportion of efforts they put in to delivering all the results we need when it comes to conservation and land management. And so can you talk a little bit as well, Lilian, the plan obviously recommends clear
There is
revenue
some
sharing.
breaking. There is some breaking. Not hearing well.
Okay. Right. I'm going to ask again, Lilian. Apologies. Let me ask you on the same subject of revenue distribution. Can you describe how you make sure that the participants of your project, the smallholders, receive compensation for the work? What systems do you have in place?
Because I've told you earlier that I am from Ndangala Nyachianja Parishes Tunguche Group, it is a collaborative forest management group. Here, when we receive the carbon funds, and I told you that we have the individual carbon soil agreements, whereby we sign individually, though we are a group, but we again sign individual agreements. So after receiving these carbon credits, carbon money, we have a visionary development sustainable understanding. What we do here is to set up nursery beds. Through these nursery beds, the farmers are able to get planting materials. from the nursery beds established by the farmers. But again, from the nursery beds we get, the owner of the nursery bed is paid after selling off the seedlings to the farmer. But again, also, if is a member of NNTG as a group, the 10% of that money, that funds he gets, he comes back to the group. Then the rest can be used for household activities. Then from that, uh, we get sensitization meetings, financial management, and in the end, we set up a circle. Through this circle, it is where we put our money after selling or getting the carbon credits. We put the money in the circles, and it is from these circles where even the 10% is put for some of the members who have problems like school fees problems. This is where to pick loans from the circles. And then from the circle, it is still from those circles that sometimes when the village savings groups also can go there and pick credits for the members in the village. Still, when we go further on the carbon credits, on the carbon credits, I've said the 10% goes to the group. This is used to implement the group activities, when it is we have the office to pay the rent, administrative issues, and many others. Then also, besides that, we started another business project after being engaged with EcoTrust Uganda. We started up an apiary project and the bee product project. Here, we developed even a business plan for honey. And we when we money from the honey we have sold, as I have told, we have the circle where we put the 10% also. That is, the 10% is majorly used for the group activities. Then in the Duke, we after use the money we also develop we promote other income generating activity like coffee value addition, that is pulping and value add. In this case, but also because we are we are looking at that sustainable, include men are included, women, the people with the disabilities, the young, the men, all of them are included project implementations and sustainable development. And with the carbon, 30% of the carbon, the 30% of the carbon funds is we just use 30% carbon funds majorly. Then the rest of the funds we get our other projects, as I have mentioned. We have many various projects, and we have also others like making the energy saving stoves. All that we developed it with EcoTrust Uganda.
Brilliant. Very good, Lilian. Thank you for the detail. I think the message really, and we'll come back to finance in the questions because everybody or many people ask questions about money in the question and answer session. But the message that trying to create a one-fits-all system is quite challenging. And in fact, the most successful projects very similar to what you're describing, Lilian, have created incredibly innovative systems to ensure that everybody involved in essentially in the generation of a carbon asset, whether it's planting trees or protecting forests or habitat, that there's a way for lots of different people within the structure to receive their share for what they do, and we have to be adaptable depending on the situation, depending on the national laws and the local bylaws and the situation with politics and the cultural situation. So it is very complex, how revenues are used and received, but I think the big message is that if the if the revenues are fair and they give people benefits, socially and economically, then the project has a chance of lasting for a long time and being sustainable. I think no project will be successful if it doesn't make sure that that's happening. um, so in a way, just the fact that the project is persisting over many years is probably a good sign that the organization and the communities involved have thought very deeply about how to divide and use their revenues. Good detail there, and we'll come back to that. So we're going to move on to our third topic for the conversation, and just quickly answer one last question before we have some questions and answers. Um, I would like to know, because we've just talked about the revenues themselves, but we have to sell the credits. We have to convince people, companies, individuals to buy these credits at some point to get the revenues that we need to do the work. And so, do you have examples? I'm going to start with German here. German, can you give us some examples of how yourself, you're both a community member and a employee of Carbon Tanzania, but how have you yourself and other members of the community been able to participate in activities that have helped and supported the project developer, that's actually Carbon Tanzania, to market these great results, the Vivo certificates that we activities have you and some of the community been involved with that have helped us to tell that story to the outside world?
Yes, the community have been engaged and participating in different media. They have been voluntarily talking to the media and also collaborate with carbon administration communication carbon communication team, at least to display, to articulate um, about the output of the carbon revenues in their local community, but also participating participating in different events, um, like this one today we are doing. It's just a voice of local community to ensure that its voice is heard to the rest of the world, global north. Uh, Also, they have been devoted, they have been communicating in different medias like Tanzania Broadcasting Corporation, but also the different medias, different conferences. And for example, we have been participating in different conferences to ensure that the people, voice of indigenous peoples and local community. So local communities have been engaged in different and different events, different platforms, but collaborating with the uh, Carbon Tanzania Communication Department to ensure that their voices are heard to the world. However, they have been facing different challenges on how they can send this message to the rest of the world, including the though the community are living in the very remote areas, they cannot have the access to the internet, but also the language barrier. Also, most of my community, they don't know even the national language, which is Swahili. So, and that's why we, as a community representatives, we used to go back to the community to talk with the community, to educate the community by using their own language so that they can understand better. So community have also a very low level of understanding in terms about the project, However, we used to at least impart the knowledge, sensitize, educate by using their native language, by using their own local languages. Yeah, so that is how the community communicate to at least endorse the carbon credit.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, German. Yeah, it's a real challenge, we know, but it is helpful, and we have to be careful to be transparent, and it's not about exploiting the communities. There must be full consent, of course, but we always welcome and we hope that many of our partners in the community are enthusiastic, of course, about telling their stories. So, Kassim, can you give us also any insights into where yourself or that you work with have been able to be part of telling the story to the people who hopefully are supplying the revenues?
Okay, thank you. So in the Mikoko Pamoja project, we, the community, we play a critical but a growing role in supporting the market of these carbon credits. So our main contribution has been through storytelling and advocacy, whereby as the community members, when we are being invited into seminars or conferences, we do share our success stories, mainly on the environmental and social impacts. So these narratives, they help to attract the interested buyers or companies who are looking for impactful carbon offset projects. So another thing is through partnership with organizations like the NGOs, um, and the other partners who can handle the technical aspects of bringing the carbon credits to the market. So these would include certification, compliance, and networking with potential buyers. So, but there are some challenges why we are not able to support the selling of the carbon credits. This is because of the market access. Connecting us, the locals, connecting with the international buyers is challenging because of the language barriers, lack of technology, and lack of networking. And another challenge is about limited technical knowledge. So the process of certification, verification, and marketing of the carbon credits is highly technical, and as the community, we lack that expertise in those aspects. So another thing is about awareness and engagement. So it is difficult to involve everyone in the community in the issue of carbon market because these are critical things. It's so complex. So it's difficult to involve every member of the community to understand what are carbon financing. So due to this, due to these challenges, the project aims to involve community more in promoting the credits through capacity building and partnership with organizations that can help bridge these gaps.
Thank you. That's a really key point, Kassim. I really appreciate the honesty there. That it's while we want communities to be very honest and open about hopefully the benefits and the good things that happen with carbon credits projects, we also recognise that speaking to corporations and clients all around the world is something that is not natural or easy for local communities, and that's where a really responsible project developer can be of value to the whole process. So yeah, let's just move on then. So we have some time for questions and answers. Lilian, can you tell us about how your smallholder farmers and the groups are sometimes involved in uh, telling the world what great work they're doing, and why the project is so valuable, both for the climate and for their communities? What kind of activities have they been involved in to tell that story?
Okay. Ndangala Nyachianja Parishes Tunguche Group NNTG, we have managed to share our achievement road journey with the communities and with the district. With the road journey, most of I didn't tell you our past were exporters and illegal timber harvesters. Now, in that scenario, in that environment, we did not care about the environment and the nature. So, but we have managed now to have achievements out of the plans, the Plan Vivo and the TGB programs. Now we have managed to share with them, and as the community, as the members of NNTG, we have low education levels, so we could not write out all what we can tell to other communities through ratings. What we did is we developed a tool, that is the achievement road energy, whereby we can share with the community activities we are doing, the opportunities, the challenges we are meeting, our past, and in our achievements, we have managed to achieve an agreement with National Forest Authority. We have managed to conserve 130 hectares of land. We are now constructing water harvesting tanks for soil conservation, and many others, as our in that we are sharing with communities and districts. And again, not only sharing with them, we have gone even beyond sharing. We have also presented our group NNTG internationally. Like recently, we had an international conservation forum in Nairobi where we presented for the achievements we have got through this. And again, we have also hosted visitors and researchers. These people come to me. They are activists, whereby we sit with other communities and good ads in the project management and management. We also have received different research. So we have received the third party. There are so many people who have been coming to us to research and to gain knowledge from group. How are we managing? How are we doing things sustainably in conserving the environment? And also, as Ndangala Nyachianja Parishes Sunguche Group, we have also managed to the learning experience in the, like recently when they were forming the national forest management policies, we were taken as an learning experience, and we were the pioneer, and we were the pioneers. The NNTG were the pioneers by then. We have also have different, we have managed as group to strengthen other community based organizations. They come and see what we are doing, what we are managing, because we are in the same line of conserving, but at the same time, not only conserving, but also improving the livelihoods of the people. So we are not only conserving, so these people come to see when you are conserving, but at the same time, what is the livelihood improvement of the members? So we are now like something to be a learning experience. So people are coming to learn from us, and majorly that is that.
Great.
But also in there is another we have managed to improve the ecosystem services. This way we are trying to restore the once deforested swamps and river banks. All that is done through this project and through tree planting and many other projects. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Lilian. Great. So, again, that's a real insight into a different way of communicating, which is quite directly to buyers and having individuals actually reporting on what's happening on the ground. And then we have all the range of different ways of communicating that we've also talked about, right up to visiting conferences, speaking at events like Plan Vivo in East Africa in Nairobi. We have to use all. And as Lilian was just describing there, one of the most powerful ways, of course, is to directly show people how these things work on the ground and to become working examples of success in creating a nature-based carbon project under Plan Vivo. So great to hear all that. I'm going to move on to questions here and see whether we can get through a couple. The first one is not uncommon. The question is, the carbon market globally has been criticized in newspapers and media in many countries in Europe and America. The question is, from a community, as a community member, as a community representative, what would a community member say to the critics of the carbon market? What would they tell them about the experience that they have had with the carbon project? Who would like to answer? Do I have any volunteers? Kassim, you were just telling me about your visit that you're currently doing. It might be interesting for you to reflect on the experience that the people you work closely with have of a carbon revenue project.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I've had so many people criticizing about the issue of carbon market, and I attended one of the seminars, and a friend of mine told me that I can say, Kassim, you're encouraging people to do more of the emission, because it's like you're encouraging people to do a lot of emission. But what I answered to him is that I told him that you have your mind, but I'm also having my mind. To my understanding is that working on mangroves, these mangroves are a critical ecosystem. We believe as the community of Gazi that they help in combating the effect of climate change. And the good thing is that for the community, we have seen that we are getting income out of it. So through the research which was done in Gazi Bay, we were stopped from cutting the mangroves, because these mangroves, we depended on the mangroves for our livelihood. So it wasn't easy for us to shift, to abandon our culture, like cutting of the mangrove, getting charcoal, getting timber from the mangroves, and shifting to another activity. So for the community of Gazi, it took us time to accept this, but over time, people came to realize that this is true, because one of the example I could give is that if someone says that mangroves are not good for combating the effect of climate change, would you believe that mangroves they help to fight the effect of erosion? just the same thing, because if it is able to fight the issue of erosion, it can also affect help to mitigate the effect of climate change. So when you come into our community again and then you tell someone like you are encouraging people to do more of the emission, I can say it's a typically a no. So it depends with your understanding. But to me, I can say that offsetting is something real, and the mangroves are there to combat the effect of climate change. And the communities, they can really generate a lot of income, supporting biodiversity, as well as improving their livelihoods.
Great. Can you, German, can you tell us anything about your perspective or the perspectives of people in your communities about the benefits or the problems with the voluntary carbon market?
Community value the environment. The environment to our community is such very significant thing to our livelihood. Just take an example for the hunter-gatherers who are hunting in the forests. These people who are hunting and depending their food from the nature. If you are not supporting this nature, the forest, keeping the trees standing, and then the trees are cutting off, the livelihood of that particular community will be so difficult. But on the other hand, you are ruined completely the culture of Hadzabe and the Datoga. But again, you are releasing the emission of the carbon dioxide to increase climatic change. So it is very important for the voluntary carbon market to understand how the value of this environment towards the local communities, but also for combating climatic change. It is very important for the Datoga. On the other hand, for the Datoga also, the community that I belong to, the forests and tree species are also a medicine for them. But at the same time, it provides pasture for the local community. So if you're not endorsing this local community to continue protecting this environment, you are completely ruining their culture, their identity, and traditional way of life. But on the other hand, we are going to it's going to let a negative impact towards the climatic change.
Yeah, very good. I mean, we have this discussion so frequently. Sorry.
But again, on the other hand, if you are not endorsing this protection, then you are not endorsing the biodiversity and ecosystem in this environment where the communities are protecting for the decades, for many years ago. Yeah.
Right. Thanks, German. Yes, thank you, German. I think we often reflect on how valuable the well-designed and well-run projects that are focused on protecting nature or restoring nature. The benefits they have are far beyond the climate benefits. And of course, not all of the market is necessarily putting a real value on that in terms of what they're paying for the carbon credits. So yes, very, very challenging to make that case. But we're also very lucky with Plan Vivo that because of the project standard, it does make it very clear that any project that is certified under Plan Vivo will be able to demonstrate those additional benefits to the local communities who are participating. So one last question, because we're going to have to wrap up soon. It's going to be a bit of a challenging question. How do conflicts get resolved in the projects that we're running? And I'm going to ask German to just talk to that question. What happens when there's a conflict between people in the project area and the plan of the project? What can we do? And do we have any examples, German, how we deal with that kind of thing?
Can you repeat the question?
What happens if there is a conflict or a problem in the project where somebody is not following the activities of the project? How do we resolve this? Or how do the communities resolve a problem like that?
Okay. Due to the fact that we already have the community bylaws that protect the land and the environment, and whenever one goes to maybe cut off the trees, going against the bylaws that we are set up by the local community. The local community usually come together like a meeting, and then they decide to let this guy who lead this conflict to the other levels of authorities, so that the authorities can take further action upon this guy who is violating the rules of the community. But in some communities like the Toga, who have their own traditional laws, they used to find the guy, but it is traditional. If they are not willing to go beyond this traditional to the other authorities, government authorities, to take further action, they can just punish the guy by using their own traditional laws, which is called shagesh in the Toga language, where the guy. But this is applied to the member of the community. But if the community, the guy is not the member of the community, then we have to go further to the formal legal for maybe to the formal legal to other authorities like the ward authority or district government authority to let him go away, or to maybe sue him to the court, because it is the it's formal bylaws which was approved by the government. So the bylaws will take further action. Yeah.
Very good. Right. Well, I can see we're getting close to the end of the session. These are always the difficult questions. We are all project developers here on this panel. You've given us some amazing insights into the detail and the innovation that's needed to make a complicated nature-based project work. This is something that we experience every day, of course, all of us. And the communities themselves are the ones who have the answers often to these difficult problems, because they're able to sit with each other and to work out how to best deal with them. As German was just saying there, a really good system of sustainable land management really does have to be based in traditional land use practices and community engagement, where communities can really come together and make compromises where necessary and put together a plan that will actually create the long-term sustainable land use management that we're looking for in these projects. So I think, for me, this is the real insights that we're getting from our speakers today. And obviously, I guess for me, it's just left to say, thank you so much for joining. I've answered some of the questions in text for those who need some short answers, but hopefully those people listening today and anyone who's watching the recording, you will have learnt something and hopefully gained some insights into both the challenges of working as a community to meet the requirements of the carbon market, but also hopefully some of the benefits that are available when engagement and the design is done well. So yeah, thank you very much for speaking, everyone, and good luck. Good luck in obviously your continued work on your Plan Vivo projects. Thank you very much.